uh, hope that hope that um, everybody had a chance to get into meditation this week and preferably have a round of food soaking before the session. But if not, that's completely okay. Just stay with us, go with the flow, and we will all experience it together. We will experience it collectively. Now, um, the thing about today's session is it is going to be quite interactive. It will be interspersed with some video clips by Shri Mataji and some phases of silent meditation in between. And we will be working on the chakras only if required. The purpose today is uh, to uh, learn from this workshop, get some tips that you can apply to your meditation every day, and to find out what is it that we are seeking, what is it that we really want to experience. Now that you have a basic idea about the chakras and channels, the entire subtle system, a basic idea about the Kundalini power, and some experience of vibrations on your hands, and maybe some of you are also able to experience specific chakras, and if you spread out your hands, maybe you are able to feel uh, the state of your chakras when a particular chakra is doing all right and when it is not. So hopefully that will all come in handy. But before we start, let's go back to the basics, because that is very important regardless of how long we've been into Sahaj Yoga. And the reason I ask this particular question is it is very easy to miss the basics. And I realized this in my own journey after over a decade, maybe more than 15 years. And today I wish somebody had corrected me sooner. So uh, this is the reason I feel it's very important to go to the basics and start from the beginning in every session, whether it is collective meditation, whether we are meditating individually in the morning or in the evening, or if we are just uh, traveling and sitting inside a room in a hotel. Wherever we are, we need to check whether we are doing good on the basics. So again, I would want some of you to unmute and let me know, when you sit down to meditate, what is it that you wish to meditate for? What exactly is it that you are sitting for? And there are no right or wrong answers. We just want to hear from you to begin with. Would anyone like to unmute and speak about it? Okay.
Okay,
Uh, yeah, go ahead, please. I heard
maybe
someone was
I'll
trying.
maybe I'll start first if that
Mhm.
was. So
Sure.
this is Meena here. Anytime when I do in the morning, probably this is where my thing goes. Like I surrender myself and then I cleanse my the channels and start off with ask mother for the day. Like whatever the day goes, I just say, Mother, it's your day. Make sure that everything goes fine for me there. So that's what I expect, and then I just go for the day. It happens. So in the evening or at the night or whatever the time in the evening when I do it, and first thing I normally, it's just me. My journey is I have a habit because I'm alone here. So have a habit of just telling mom, mother, this has happened, that had happened, and this, that. And as usual, I have a conversation with her. This has
Mhm.
happened, does it happen, and this went this way, that way, and then all those things. And then again, I'll tell her, okay, mother, this has happened and this is what you did it. And maybe if I did something, if I feel that, I'll tell her, okay, I did this a mistake. I need that to be corrected. The next time, make sure that I don't do it. And if I need something to be answered, I put it back to her. I need these things to be answered, mother. I'm confused. This I need an answer for by tonight or tomorrow morning. And I always make sure that next day morning I get the answer from her. And I don't know how do I get the answer. I'm clear when next day morning when I get. So this is my journey with me and mother. It's just personal
Mhm.
conversation with that's how I've been going on.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you.
that's a great answer. And
Um,
yeah, anybody who would like to build on this,
so,
add more to this.
so Sophie in the chat said she has some problem. Said I'm sorry about the alarm. So she said that there is some privacy setting and she's not able to unmute herself, but she has mentioned her reason why she meditates. So she said um she would like to she meditate to find a state of inner peace or to see how centered she is.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So uh, both of these are great answers, and I'm sure uh, there are people who haven't um, provided the answers, but the answers must be on similar lines. And uh, so if you look at these two answers, the keywords are uh, for surrendering, for inner peace, and finding out how centered one is. So these are all great answers because it is important to be alert. It is important to be attentive during meditation, although not tense, but we need to be attentive. And of course, we need to be surrendered. So we need to be effortless. And that's the combination that we need, being effortless and at the same time being alert. Because if we make too many efforts, our brain, and I can actually use the term Agya Chakra, and the sixth energy center will remain engaged and it will be hard to fall into thoughtless awareness. And if we are dozing off, then nothing is going to work out because meditation is about the state of meditation is about witnessing. And if we're dozing off, it's not possible to witness, right? We can't witness anything when we are dozing off. So these are all good points, and these talk about our idea of meditation, our discovery of meditation so far. What is it that we sit for? But let us ask ourselves and find out answers as to why in the first place do we want to be effortless, why in the first place we want to be surrendered. In principle, why do we want to be in silence and in meditation itself, right? And this is not the Japanese 5 why technique to answer a sequence of why questions 5 times and figure the answer out, but um, principally I think everybody would be able to relate to it. And that is the theme of today's session. The reason we wish to be in that state of meditation, the reason we wish to be in silence and centered is because primarily all of us are seeking the truth. All of us are discovering the truth, and we wish to be in the state of meditation to let the truth dawn upon us, right? So um, I think this is something very important in Sahaj Yoga, and in several speeches of public programs. This is what Srimataji emphasizes on. So everything else is an infrastructure that is built around Sahaj Yoga to support our seeking of the truth, the cleansing that we have for our chakras and channels, all our endeavors to get into thoughtless awareness and silence. These all of this is to facilitate the reception of truth on our central nervous system. Okay, so whenever we sit down for meditation, whether it is in this session, after this, or tomorrow morning, or however many years after this, you sit down to meditate, always ask yourself, and if this is there is one thing or a couple of things that I wish you to carry from today's session to help you in the longer haul. This is one key question, and that's why I've brought this up in the discussion early enough. as to what is our purpose when we sit down for meditation. And remember, it is truth. It is not because I'm saying so. It is because it's our inner desire. That's the reason you and I are in this session. I'm delivering this session today as a part of that self discovery, as a part of my journey towards the truth. Okay, so with that context, let us listen to a clip of Shri Mataji, in which Shri Mataji has spoken about the seeking of truth. Of course, we are also going to have some balancing of our channels before we do that. So, um, as usual, we will look towards the picture of Shri Mataji. It will be projected on the screen in a moment.
Is the photo visible?
Yes. So let's look at the picture of Shri Mataji. We can also, if we have a picture of Shri Mataji in our room, we can also look at that. Just look at the picture lovingly and allow your eyes to close. Try to sense what is happening on both of your palms and fingertips. Check our physical posture. See to it that there is no stress on any parts of the body. Ease off your shoulders if they are stressed, your elbows, your wrists, your knees, the waist. Just check, see to it that the spine is upright. It should not be very stiff either. Remember that we are not here to concentrate anywhere. So just sense what is happening on your palms and fingertips. Observe the undercurrents of your brain. And while observing the working of this energy on our palms and fingertips, let us request, O Shri Mataji, please guide us in our journey of this truth of our spiritual ascent. Now we can gently raise our Kundalini and take a bandhan or create a shield around ourselves. And now we will gently place our right hand on the floor if you're sitting down, or on the sofa. If you're sitting on a couch or a chair, you can hang your right hand with the palm facing the ground, and let the left hand stay on your lap with the palm facing upwards. And let's understand the meaning of this particular posture. So, this symbolizes our pure desire to experience the spirit, to get rid of all the ignorance of the left channel, which is obstructing our ascent. So, what we are doing is we are exposing all of this negative energy to our Kundalini in the presence of Shri Mataji. So, with that understanding and the experience on the left palm, let us pray. O Mother, please remove all the ignorance, all the imbalance, all the negativity from this channel. Please remove all the fear, all the negative emotions, all the heaviness from the past experiences, all of the impure desires, etc. And let this channel be filled with the pure desire to experience our existence as the spirit. Now, for the next 2 to 3 minutes, we will all meditate individually in our own silence. And for those who find it hard to stay in silence, they can open their eyes and continue looking at the picture of Shri Mataji for some more time until they can conveniently close their eyes. So let's start and let's allow this energy to work out. We can feel it on our left hand. Some of us may be able to feel the experience on the top of the head along with the palm. If that is happening, that's also nice. Now we will move our right hand back onto the lap and fold the left hand from the elbow with the fingers pointing up and palm facing backwards. And we will request Srimata ji, please remove all the negativity, the ignorance, all the overactivity from our right channel. All the heaviness of superiority, doership, all the illusions created by duality, please remove them. Please remove all the anger, remove the unnecessary aggression. Now, for the next few minutes, we'll all meditate in silence. And again, feel free to open your eyes and look at the picture of Shri Mataji if you find that hard, and you can close your eyes afterwards. So let's experience it for some time. Now we can bring the left hand down, let both the hands rest on the lap, and we will continue to observe for another minute or two. Some of us may be able to feel some of the chakras of themselves or of even of the collective, and that's fine. But let us not get worried about them upfront. In the beginning, it is more important to be able to witness this experience. Whatever form it has, it may feel like a cool breeze, it may feel like some tingling sensation or warmth on the fingertips. It's all okay because all of these indicate that the energy is trying to work things out on our subtle system individually as well as collectively. So let's just observe it. So, as collectively we are beginning to calm down now, we are in a better receptive state. Let us watch a video by Srimataji, which is about seeking the truth.
Truth. I bow to all the seekers of truth. When we are seeking the truth, we must know what we have to seek, what we have to have. There are all kinds of shops around where they talk of giving you the truth. But first of all, we must know what you have to achieve, what you have to get if you are seeking the truth. Many great saints, Sufis, poets have mentioned about it, that you have to seek your spirit, you have to become spiritual. But nobody has been able to achieve that. Maybe the circumstances were not like that. Little loud should be made, people may come. Now, when we talk of truth, we have to know that the truth is very simple to understand. First, we must know the instrument of truth. That is, you are not this body, this mind, these emotions, these feelings, these thoughts, but you are the pure spirit. You are the pure spirit. And that has to happen to you, that you become the spirit. As our heritage has been, very sadly, we are carrying out many qualities, instincts of the animal stage. And that's why we find in people having jealousies and oppression, aggression, all kinds of horrifying things. Also, the worst part is that man can think. And in his awareness, in his thinking, he can also justify through his rationality to whatever he is doing. So it's a blind end. Once you start justifying to whatever you are doing, it's a blind end. But there is no way through mental exercise that you can clear out all these things. You must know that your Creator has already looked after your self-realization. He has already made arrangements within you to give you your self-knowledge. So far, you do not know yourself. That's the main thing. They have said, know thyself. How? How do we know ourselves? We don't know what we have. We know about others, but about ourselves we don't know. And whatever we know about others is also very superficial. So now within us is placed, as I have shown you, the power of Kundalini. It's called Kundal because it is in 3.5 coils. And it's a feminine power. She is your individual mother. Everyone has an individual mother. And she has tape recorded all about your mistakes, about what you want, what are your aspirations. Everything this mother has recorded within herself. Now she is just waiting for the second birth. Because it is your own power, you have to get it. Sahaja means Saha means with, and Jai is born. Born with you is the right, is the birthright. That you get this yoga means the union with the divine power. Now when I say there is divine power, all around us, and it does all the living work. We have to just know that there is a power. And everybody has called it by different names. Somebody has called it Ruh. Somebody has called it Param Chaitanya. Somebody has called it the cool breeze of the Holy Ghost. All this has been on, but people don't know where is that power. It is all over, which does all the living work. You see the beautiful flowers here around. Now we never even think how these flowers were created by Mother Earth, so beautifully, so differently, and how she has put such a beautiful show of her kindness, of her patience, of her love. Apart from that, if you ask a doctor, who is the one who runs your heart? He'll say it's the autonomous nervous system. Ask the question, who is this auto? He can't answer. They're honest, I must say they're honest. It's done without any one of our efforts, effortlessly, and who does that work? So this all-pervading power of divine love, which you can call by any name, is around us. And it works out everything for us. This power knows everything about us. Also, it looks after us. It guides us. It thinks. It organizes. But above all, this power loves you. It's nothing but love and compassion. People have never known that they are loved by this all-pervading power. And when you start doing something against yourself, which is not love for yourself, then she punishes you in a way to guide you to the proper side. Now, this power is surrounding us all through. But when we talk of the ascent of the Kundalini, it passes through 6 centers. You have seen that. The red one is the lowest one, we can call it the first or the 7th, is the power.
All right, we can sit in silence for another couple of minutes with our eyes open or closed, depending on whether we feel alert or not. Now we can allow our eyes to open. So as Shri Mataji just mentioned in this clip, seeking the truth is about seeking the spirit, and it is this experience of truth. If we seek it, it has all the capability to put us into that state of meditation where we can discern the truth. And like she said, spirit is a power of love. It is the all pervading power of Almighty's love, which is around us and does everything vital. It makes our body run, it makes our heart beat. It is the same power which does everything around us. And this is what we are seeking. And she also says that the in the scriptures and the prophets have asked about the spirit being in the brain, right? That you have to become the spirit, or the spirit has to be in the brain, right? So what exactly does that mean? Because spirit is a consciousness, spirit is an awareness. How can we say that spirit, we can become the spirit, or we will be the spirit, or the spirit will be in the brain? So I would like to answer that. It's a question that I'm setting the context with. And the becoming the spirit, or the spirit being the brain, can be simplified in terms of the manifestation of the powers or the attributes, the qualities of the spirit in our brain. Okay, so the influence of spirit on the brain. So far, what happens is our brain is guided by the habits, by the conditioning which we have acquired during our human life, right? But some of it is okay, some of it is not okay, right? We don't know what, sometimes we don't even realize. Sometimes we do things because just because we like something, or because we don't like something. But when the spirit guides the brain, it automatically gets the wisdom to get into the right direction. It is guided by the spirit, it is influenced by the spirit. And that is what we mean when we say that we have to become the spirit, that the brain has to be influenced by the attributes of the spirit. It has to be guided by the wisdom, by the powers of the spirit. Okay. So now with that, we have a couple more clips. So we will listen to uh, two more clips of Srimataji, one after the other. So the first clip is about what is the spirit, and then there's another clip in which Shri Mataji talks about the spirit as the source of joy. So um, keep observing your physical posture. Do not get stressed about anything. Relax your body, but stay alert. Let your spine be upright, and do not concentrate anywhere, but just keep sensing what is happening on your palms and on your fingertips. So with that, we will continue the session and watch another video of Shrimataji.
Be honest to yourself. You have no business to cheat yourself for anything whatsoever. If you are hypnotized, awaken yourself. Arise and find what is the best, absolute, and the only thing that you have to find, your spirit. Your spirit resides in the heart. It is the reflection of God Almighty. It enjoys itself by itself. It is the spectator of the work of its power, the Holy Ghost. It watches you and is called as the knower of the field. It knows what you are doing, what are your aspirations, what mistakes you are committing. It goes to a long extent to forgive and forgive and forgive. Forgiveness is one of the qualities of the Spirit. It forgives you and says, it will work out. It will come around. But when you go too far, say if you pay too much attention to your physical being or to your mental being, if you try to think too much, the Spirit indicates its displeasure and you get a heart attack. Heart attack comes to you through displeasure of the Spirit. If the Spirit is angry with you, you get a heart attack. That means you have neglected your spirit, you have paid attention to things which are not important. You have looked after things which are not important. You have not worried about yourself about the Spirit, about your seed. Even if you lost, say in any fanatic behavior of reading some books and things and taking out certain things, remembering them by heart and then having an argument and course on it and all that, in all genuineness and goodness, but stupidity, then also you can get heart attack. Heart is very important. It sometimes gives you first warning by giving you a partial paralysis, because in the heart a sort of a resentment is created by the Spirit, which creates a clot, and that clot, when it goes into the brain, you get a partial paralysis, so that you do not move any further. Your attention is taken to it. Then you start thinking of God, thinking of all the things, and maybe if you come to Sahaja, you get cured, because again your Spirit forgives you. We are taking too much liberty with our Spirit. It is true, God has given you freedom, and He is not going to take away your freedom at any cost. You have to be absolutely free to choose whether to go to heaven or to go to hell. He is not going to force you. Only thing one can do is to explain to you and tell you that this is the way you go to hell. Even then, if you want to go, then what can anybody do about it? Even God. He doesn't want to challenge your freedom at all. He doesn't want to make you in any way bound to Him, like some people are bound, just bound without understanding. But He wants your complete liberation. So first stage is that you have to choose your liberation through your own freedom of choice. Now, up to this point, till you were human beings, there was no choice for you. But after becoming a human being, you were given the choice because you could develop well to understand what is right and wrong in your own freedom, so that you can enter into the kingdom of God as people who are free and have chosen good in their own glory and in their own freedom. This is the only small little step where we always confuse our freedom with our ego. For example, now this hall is here, say, for me to speak. Right? Somebody comes from outside who has been sort of worked up in some sort of an organization and thinks that he's doing the greatest work in the whole world in such a myth. Comes down here in that ego state, sits down here, asks me questions after questions, questions after questions, questions after questions, doesn't allow anybody else to speak, takes away all my time to himself, as if this hall is booked by him and all the audience is gathered by him. He's least bothered as to see that this is an ego that is working. So we should not confuse our freedom with ego. That's what I have to give you a counsel. Try to differentiate your ego from your freedom. When you are ego bound, you are a slave of your ego. When you are super ego bound, you are a slave of your super ego, of your conditioning. For example, you are born a Christian, you are a Christian. You are gone forever then. Alright, you are a Christian, but what about real Christianity within you? What about your rebirth in the real sense of the word? So you become enslaved to these things, so there is no freedom. And spirit is the freedom, is the free being within us. It is detached. It cannot be killed. It cannot be blown away. It cannot be burnt away. It is eternal, anant. It is eternal. That spirit is joy. That spirit is the source of joy. That emits joy. Joy is different from happiness and unhappiness. Ego, when it feels pampered, it feels happy. I like it, I like it. This I business is ego pampering. That is not joy, because you like to drink today and tomorrow you don't like to have a headache. It has the double side of I like and I don't like. You like something through your ego, dislike through your super ego. So it is a one coin and they have two faces, one is happiness, another is unhappiness. Joy is beyond that. Joy is a drama. Seer is a witness. You see a drama, you know it's a drama going on, you just watch it as a drama. You are not involved and you are seeing it and enjoying it. You are crying if you see something, you are weeping, but you know you are not that. It's a drama. Seer, the witness. Your spirit is the witness. And when you become the spirit, you become the witness. You become the witness. For example, you are seeing something through a window. There's something exists in the window, for example. Now you enter inside the room and you see through the window. Your conditioning is like one wave arising in you as a thought which comes from the past. It rises again, another thought comes up and goes in the past. First the past thought is there and then another future thought is there, it disappears. You see the thought rising but you can't see the disappearing of the thought. In between that is the present. That's the place is established, that present is established when your attention becomes enlightened by the Spirit. Either you think of the future or of the past. But I say now, at this moment, at the present, you cannot stand there because your spirit is not enlightened. Because spirit is the present. When you get your realization, you find that you are not thinking of the future or the past, you are just enjoying. Everything becomes different. The whole life becomes a drama and the joy out of it starts coming out. And you really enjoy small things here and there. And you really understand how much joy was lost before realization. This is not your mental thing that gives you joy. But the joy pours on you from your head just like this, a cool thing starts pouring down. As some people have a feeling of the tension rising up, it's the same way a cool sort of thing, flow of joy you feel in your whole body pours out. Sometimes this cool breeze that rises in the head also starts becoming like a fountain pouring down that joy. You look at the pictures, for example, see this star of Moses. You see David's star, you see that. When you see that, you can think about it. Or else you just watch this. Watch it and don't think. The joy of the creation of that thing whole thing becomes one with you. Like all the creation around, a lake is completely felt in the lake if the lake has no ripples. Completely. In the same way, all that is joy, the Creator, whosoever it may be, has put there. You get the complete joy within yourself because there is no thought, there is no barrier, no conditioning. The whole thing becomes one with you and you start feeling extremely happy, extremely joyous. A feeling which is indescribable. It is to be just enjoyed, to be felt. Like Kabira was asked, why don't you speak now? So he says in Hindi language, he's one of the terrific poets we have. He says, Jab mast hue fir kya bole? When I have gone into the nectar of the intoxication, of the spirit, now what can I talk? There's no word. No cup can fill this joy. No words can fill this meaning. You better be with me and get it and enjoy yourself. That's all he could say.
Now, regarding the spirit, the last and the highest thing, that it is the source of joy. Joy has no duality. It doesn't have happiness and unhappiness. That is the ego. When the ego is pampered, it feels happy. When it is hurt, it feels unhappy. So it has nothing to do with duality. It's in joy. Say a sensible man is watching a tragedy or a comedy as a drama, enjoys both. He doesn't get involved into it. In the same way, you enjoy life without getting involved into it, and life becomes a source of joyous living. So the joy that you feel is rather late in the Western minds. The reason is the mind of the Western people is overdeveloped and the heart is less developed. But say in a place where people are developing now, they are developing their brains now. Developing countries, the heart is more developed. So they feel the joy first and they are not bothered about knowing about the brain. But the Western mind will first of all see, is it true or not? Yes, it's true. Then it will go and see, this fellow, let me see the vibrations of a tree, of a doggy, this, that. They go on analyzing everything. See me the vibrations of this photograph, of this sari, of that clothes. They go on like mad, they go on first analyzing it. Then when they get out of it, they settle down. Then they find the Kundalini is fixed here and the source of joy starts pouring. Just like the river Ganges. It pours. Actually, physically you feel that what we call the spulling is the rising of the hair. When you feel that joy falling from your head, just like the Ganges falls on Shiva. When you see a beautiful picture, say, you see a Mona Lisa, you think, this Leonardo da Vinci, what he must have done, how much it will cost, this, that, all those things. But a realized soul does not think, it just looks. Looks at it without thinking. The joy of the creation of that beautiful painting absolutely is reflected in his mind. Like in a rippleless lake, all that is surrounding it is completely reflected. That's how the sense of beauty and aesthetics change, absolutely.
Okay, so beyond the words, let us experience it for another minute or so. Let's all close our eyes and see if we are able to stay free from thoughts, if we are able to stay alert. Just witness that. Now we can allow our eyes to open and just trying to put together the key points from these two clips. So one of the most important points that Shrimata ji stated and that we should remember is that the foremost and the only thing that we need to find out is the spirit. Spirit is the witness, it is the spectator of the whole world. Spirit is love, compassion, it is the source of joy. It is, and that joy is singular joy. It is not, there is no duality in it. It is non-dual. So these are the key takeaways from these clips. So remember this in your spiritual journey. And once again, let's close our eyes and see the experience. And while discussing, sometimes the brain can get active from that as well. And but let's not get worried about it. We can all place our right hand on our forehead, squeeze from both the sides, and release it. Squeeze it from both the sides. Again, release it and bring the right hand down. And once again, as Shrimata ji said, spirit is the witness. It does not react to things. And in that state of non-reaction, in that state of witness, it gets one with the entire creation, one with this all-pervading power of Almighty's love. So let's allow that to happen to us. If there's any guilt, any anger, hatred, anything that's a negative emotion, let's look at it. Anything that's bothering our brain. And this is an important tip that you can apply to your daily meditation or even when you are at work. Remember this. Tell this brain that whatever is bothering this brain is a myth. And this is a very important tip to discern the truth. The first step to discerning the truth is to recognize that which is myth. The first step to get to the true self is to identify that which is not self. And then whatever is left over is the truth, the self. This is in line with the some of the spiritual scriptures called Upanishads. So let's apply that. Let's say with full confidence, whatever is bothering our attention, it may be anything to do with your routine, it may be a question, it may be a problem from your personal life, professional life, it may be lingering on in your brain, it may be bothering your attention every single day. But today, this very moment, let's say with full confidence that this is not true. This is a myth. This is an illusion because the truth is only the spirit. And one of the scriptures which Shrimataji has recommended in Sanskrit language, it says, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, which means Brahma, this all pervading power, is the only truth, and everything in the world apart from the Brahma is a myth. And we are sitting here for this truth, for this Brahma. We are not here to get rid of problems of chakras or channels or the physical bodies. Of course, that will happen as a byproduct, but that is not the purpose of our sitting together. Our purpose is to experience the truth. Our purpose is to get into the truth and stay there. So let us say everything else is a myth, and let's experience it for some time. Remember to observe your hands, observe the ripples in your mind, in your brain. We can also say, Shrimataji, I forgive all these thoughts. Please forgive me too. But most of us are in a state where we won't even need to say that because we are entering into that state of oneness, into that state of non duality, Advait, as it is called in Sanskrit language, where there is no difference, where there is only this one being. So I'll stop talking so that everyone can experience it beyond the words. Most of us would be able to experience an innocent joy within spontaneously. Let that register in our awareness. All this distraction is a myth. We can allow our eyes to open now while we continue to look at the experience on our hands, on our fingertips, and um, if it's possible, on the top of the head. And with that, we are proceeding towards the conclusion of today's session. Before we conclude, and I would want to reiterate some of the points that we learned today that are going to help us in our spiritual journey. But before we do that, I would like the participants to unmute themselves and talk about the experience, what they've learned today, that they think they can apply. So please feel free. It's an open-ended interaction. So who would like to start?
I see some of the responses in the chat box. Meena says it was great. Thank you, Jai Shri Mataji. Divya says, Sir, I have some feel in my shoulder and also in hands. So I think she is able to feel some things in her shoulders and hand.
Okay. And Divya, feel free to unmute yourself if you would like to speak more about it. And it's okay if you want to continue in silence, because sometimes when you're in that state, you don't feel like speaking much, and that's also fine. But anyone else who would like to share their experience, what they have learned, and how they think they can apply that, please feel free to unmute and share with the group.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Thank you for that wonderful introspection. It was different from other sessions. My name is Diana, and I've been doing Saha
Mm-hmm.
Yoga for quite a time. What I really like is that you brought us to this place of peace and not reaction. And my question is, when at work, for example, you see things unfolding that if you don't, sometimes you have to take action in a timely manner. When somebody sends an email, you have to respond within a certain frame of time to make
Mm-hmm.
something accomplished. And I've been practicing this state of witnessing, and I noticed that if you don't take action, then things can happen in the wrong way. So my question is, what is the best way to approach this interaction or not? Because also you can make it worse by replying to somebody who might be aggressive or non-actionary on an email. So yeah, it's just I'm always going back and forth between the taking action or not, and I would
Mm-hmm.
love to hear what you think.
Mm-hmm. So that's a wonderful question, because it's very practical, and I believe pretty much everyone on the group would have experienced it at some point of time. And your answer is contained in your question itself. So our challenge is what we need to refrain from is reaction, not consciously, but get so much into the powers of the spirit in due course of time by practicing, that we don't react. Taking action is important, right? But in the light of the spirit. And of course, when you are in the light of the spirit, when you respond, you don't react. You'd act, which is a response, and responding is different from reacting, right? There's a situation. So let's say if there's a now talking practically about work. So if you see a situation which is likely to have a conflict, you won't get into the conflict, but or if even if there's a conflict, you'll stay factual, right? Then you are not getting, your attention is not getting personally involved. You're not attached with the situation, right? You're narrating the facts of the situation. You are probably mentioning some action items that have to be taken to rectify the situation. And probably if the other person is throwing up some anger, you are just responding to it factually. So that's the best thing that I have learned, that you respond but do not react.
And
Does
this is
that
Ajay.
make sense?
Vikrant, I just would like to add, thank you first of all for a
Sure.
wonderful session. It was great. I think I also asked this question in some other sessions. I completely relate to this question that you are always trying to be a witness, and you still, the worldly interactions will make you react, right? You have situations
Mhm.
where you have to take control because, as someone said right now, that you may be completely going wrong if you remain passive. You have situations to correct. Maybe you have to show the guidance to some people who are seeking that. Maybe from a job point of view, somebody is looking for what is the right way to do the right things. But I think the key thing, what I've been learning is that, and I think you also probably kind of indirectly touched upon, is to leave the emotions out of it. So many a times our reactions are driven by emotions. We see some aggressive email like coming up to us and maybe challenging us, our credibility, or sometimes it's really challenging you in many fronts and you want to react because now it is hurting you somewhere, right? In that situation, if you get emotional, you would react in a very worldly manner. But I think one of the things which one is trying to overcome is to remove the emotions out of everything. And as I think you also said towards that, is to be factual. I think being factual is stating facts as they are without bringing your emotion or your ego into it. Or maybe that's the right way to put it. So that's really a challenge because by yourself, you're at peace, you are practicing surgery, so you are witnessing things. But when you interact with the world is not at the same level. So there are people with all different types of emotional imbalances, and you have to take that part also to make sure in an emotional imbalance situation, you're not losing your balance. Does that make sense?
Right, Ajay. Yes, absolutely aligned with that. So, Diana, in short, witnessing does not mean inaction. Okay, so that's very important. Sometimes it so happens that we start thinking that witnessing would mean inaction, but that's not the case. So, and another tip that helps me is recognizing that situation also as a myth, because apart from the spirit, apart from the Brahm, everything is a myth. The moment we start uh, accepting, the brain starts accepting that truth, the spirit takes it over, because spirit is full of truth. But then when we start reacting, the spirit recedes. So let the spirit take over, and then it will guide the brain as per the situation. But principally, uh, witnessing does not mean not responding or inaction of any kind.
So Vikrant, I have a follow-on question. So what
Mhm.
if in a situation where, you know, let's say some harsh words are said, or there is
Mhm.
anger, there is some extreme emotion you're facing, and
Mhm. Mhm.
our our reaction, spontaneous reaction, would be to counteract that, right?
Yeah.
That's how we're built. We like to counter things which are not
Mhm.
correct. We don't tolerate incorrect things, so you would want to counteract and react to it to make things correct.
Yes.
Uh, so, what's the tip you could give and again, that's not really helpful to anyone because you are now countering or reacting to someone, right? Whereas it's a much different approach you can take. So, what's your tip if you get into a situation where you are facing this harsh reality of someone coming towards you, and then what do you do for that?
Okay, so the first thing that I would want to do is find the truth and myth of that situation, because the moment you realize the truth and myth, your brain stops thinking, and that's when the spirit gets a space to work things out. For example, if there's a harsh email, uh, the way my brain has got what my brain has got accustomed to it is it will check whether it existed 5 minutes ago and will it exist tomorrow, 5 days later, 10 days later. If not, it is not eternal, right? It is not the
Mm-hmm.
Brahm, it is not the truth. So, in that sense, it's a myth, and that gives the spirit the power to, handle the situation. Then the brain starts soothing down, because one of the important points is when the stress is building up, when the reaction is building up, is to disallow it to build up, because the
Mm-hmm.
more we accumulate, the worse it gets. So
Yep.
if so you know in the beginning it may happen that because the brain has got so accustomed to reacting, it would want to react, but at the same time your spirit will also try to kick in, and slowly you will see this happening more often. So keep reminding this brain, anything that is bothering our attention is a myth. So because that is what the reality is, that is what the actualization of the spirit is, and it is not only during our sitting. So today we have learned a few tips with the intent that some of us will be able to apply this during our meditation. And meditation
Mm-hmm.
is not when we are sitting together online or at our homes. Even in the workplace, it's an opportunity to practice meditation, to implement what we have learned and introspect from it, learn. And from this question comes another interesting point. So when you sit down to meditate in the evening, observe your thoughts and understand from that. Look at those areas of life, those aspects of life as the areas that the brain is still attached with. Because if the brain is not attached with something, there will not be any thoughts related to it. But in the evening, if I'm thinking of my workplace, if I'm thinking of the latest and most important project that I need to deliver, that means whatever action I have taken through the day, there was some element of attachment to that. If I was detached, then in no time the thoughts would disappear. Thoughts come to us because our mind is still attached to something, and that attachment exists because the brain is not able to classify that as
Mm-hmm.
a myth, right? So I'm not sure, but many of us would be from the world of IT and data science, and in data science there is something called as a binary classification problem. So we have only two labels: spirit and non-spirit, or truth and myth. If we practice this on a daily basis, the brain will be stabilized, and it will be easier for the brain to stay streamlined, because there are thousands of inputs that cross our brain every day. And if it is streamlined, it will not flow away too far with them. Even if it does, if it does, let's say, if it happens to detour, it will not be for too long. I can tell you that from my experience.
No, that's a wonderful answer. One of the things which I've been trying to learn and practice is that in those situations which require you to react, sometimes just taking time off, not doing
Mhm.
going spontaneous is also
Yeah.
very helpful to gain, some balance, right? You are practicing Suraj
Yes.
Yoga, so you could do a bit of, quiet meditation. And I found
Yes.
that then you're much more balanced. You can take out all the emotion from your thinking and reaction, and it becomes very easy to handle.
Yes, yes. Do whatever it takes to, dissociate from that situation.
Yes,
Maybe
yes.
just go to the washroom, just go and have a glass of water. Maybe take 5 minutes out and walk around your house or office, and then come back, because it is equally important not to let the stress build up in your brain and in your body. then only it will be easier, as we are not very habituated to this. This is something we are learning, and for that matter, even I'm learning it, even I'm practicing it, and whatever I've shared today is something that I have learned over a period of time. I've experienced it. I've learned from some other Sahaj yogis. I've sat through sessions like these where someone shared their experience, and from some of the tips, I picked up these tips, and I found those to be very deeply founded in the spiritual scriptures in Upanishads and Vedas. I found those to work because they are based on the eternal power of the spirit. So
Mm,
that's the reason it still works, and not just for me, it will work for anybody who tries it wholeheartedly.
I completely agree. And I think one point to add is everybody's journey is different. And
Yeah.
we go through a lot of these sessions, we get a lot of tips. But there are a few tips which attach to you because at that point in your journey, they are very helpful to you. Some of the tips may be very good, but may not be applicable. So I think sometimes
Yeah.
it's also making sense of where you are and therefore what guidance. And I'm sure this comes through Shri Mataji and through, it comes naturally to you. Your help comes to you when
Yes.
yeah. So I
Absolutely.
found that
Absolutely.
the profound experience that, whenever I've stumbled on a session, I've come across some fantastic tips which are really helping me go to the, a little bit further than where I am. So
True.
really enjoying that journey. So thank you very much for the session today, by the way. Really enjoyed it. Very calming. Um, really learned a lot through those talks of Mataji.
Thank you so much. Anybody else?
Hello,
Hello.
Paresh
Yes,
this side.
please.
Yeah. So the experience wise, it was very wonderful, and it was a very calming, and the brain was completely silent, and the flow of vibration is was since from starting it was there, and we still feel it.
Hmm.
As far as the learning concern, as we were discussing about the question which was raised here, and there was some point where Ajay mentioned that sometimes the situation comes like that, or maybe some words where we got hurt. So a kind of tip, or I would say something which I have learned over the time, when we are getting hurt, as Shimataji also mentioned in the talk which was played, uh, it's about the happiness and unhappiness. So when we are getting hurt, it means our ego, which is there, which is getting hurt, because the spirit is something, a source of joy which never hurts. So it's something we have not reached to that level. We are still practicing to become the spirit. But when we are getting hurt, as you mentioned, that we should identify that either whether it is a myth or truth. So ego, which is which is the thing which reacts to that situation. And if we give time, as Ajay was also mentioning, that if we give time for maybe, or we go out, or so that reaction goes away with the time, because that is not the truth. If it would have been truth, it will exist forever.
Yeah. True. So if anybody would like to add their experience, feel free. Otherwise, we can continue looking at this experience and enjoy the rest of our day. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining and contributing to the flow of the session. And we hope to see you next week. Have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Jai Shri Mataji.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks a lot,
Jai Shri
Vikrant.
Mataji.
Wonderful session.
Thank you.